Hey guys, figured I'd do a quick video on my new DR650. I ended up getting this, plus a bunch of cash from my cousin who wanted my bike for a while. And I'm sure you guys are wondering, why the hell would he do that? Well, I have a lot of different reasons, but the main one is that my wife and I are saving up for a house. So that's my main thing. We want a house. I want a house more than a nice motorcycle right now, so, and this is still a nice motorcycle. But anyways, I got this. I wanted something a little more off-road oriented, and this is surprisingly good in the dirt. This is a fun bike to tool around on out here. But some mods I have done to it, I'll go through them. So the tires I have on here is the Pirelli MT21 front. From what I can tell, it's a pretty good tire. Then I have the Tusk D Sport rear. And then what came on it, my cousin gave me a power bomb header with it. It wasn't installed on the bike, but he just gave it to me with it. And then he had this DG pipe installed. Well, of course, this pipe didn't have the insert either, so I had to buy that. I got the quietest insert they offer for that pipe, and it seems pretty good. Then I have some IMS foot pegs, and then I have the Wirtz wire lowering bracket. I was going to go with the Pro Cycle one, or sorry, the JNS one, but I decided to go this route because instead of like an 1 3/4 drop or something like that, it's just a straight 2-inch drop plus back, and they looked pretty stout. But I wasn't entirely happy with them because I had to drill out this hole bigger for these pins that go through the foot pegs here. I think that's for how much money those cost, that's a little annoying. Then my cousin had some risers with some CR High Pro Taper bars and these nice Zeta handguards also. These were already on there. He also had a nice LED headlight in it already. I put on these double take adventure mirrors. They seem pretty good. And then, in my opinion, the biggest upgrade that I did so far was I put springs for my weight, which this had, as you guys know, I'm a really big guy. My cousin is too. And this it still has a 0.8 kilogram per millimeter rear shock, or rear shock spring, sorry, and then I put 0.65 in the front, and then I did Racetech cartridge emulators. And I did the cartridge emulators instead of the Cogent DDCs. I have a few different reasons. I have a video about it if you guys are interested. But I went with those instead, mainly because of the tunability of them. The Cogents don't have much tunability from what I can tell, so that's the reason I went with that. And then he has a K&N filter in there. I'm going to get rid of that though. Not a fan of K&N filters for off-road riding. I got these Achirby's frame guards, because with motocross boots you'll wear the paint right off of the frame otherwise. Another thing I did was I had to put in a new clutch cable. That wasn't that big of a deal. Oh, I also got a Seat Concepts tall seat. Every bike I own gets one of these. They're really comfy. I did the neutral sending unit fix, pulled the clutch basket to get to it and stuff, and I got the countershaft seal retainer on there too already. This is a 2012 model, so it was like right before they started putting those on. I also did a case saver, and then I don't know what your guys' opinions are on it, but I don't run sprocket covers because I ride in a lot of mud. So I think sprocket covers just get in the way when you're cleaning the bike. And then I remember taking it off of my WR250R, the big plastic one, and there was just mud caked all over that thing. It was terrible. So I don't even run them anymore. I mean, whenever I'm riding, I'm wearing full MX boots anyways. So it has an Intoduction plastic skid plate on it. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean, I took it off. It's really, really heavy for a plastic skid plate. I've never had a plastic skid plate before, but honestly, like hitting a big rock or something, I would definitely trust this. Because it's pretty freaking stout. It's really quiet, too. But yeah, I mean, besides that, I haven't really done much to it. This is definitely a DR that's been used for the majority of its life on the street. You can definitely tell that. The previous owners did not do very much off-roading with this. It's pretty clean. You mean, you can tell it's been dropped here and there, but that doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I'm still having trouble, like, narrowing down the jetting on this carb. I'm considering just going with a pumper or getting Electron or something. And leaning more towards the Electron instead, but we'll see. I'll get the rear wheel sorted out, ride it some, see how I even like it first. The reason why I stopped out here, you guys don't see me riding, is I forgot to put the spacer on this side of the wheel, so the brake caliper bracket is just rubbing into the rotor right now. That's a big dumb move on my part. But yeah, it's not a big deal. I'll get it fixed. I stopped like as soon as it started making noise, so whatever. Probably not going to do a bigger tank. Maybe eventually I will. We'll see. I can't think of any other mods off the top of my head that I need to get done, that I have done to it, so. But yeah, this is my new bike. You'll be seeing a lot more of this on the channel. These things are, I can understand the craze about them, that's for sure. I've owned a DR650, as you guys know, and I thought it was an awesome bike. And I think this is an awesome bike too. I like it so far. It's definitely a lot better on the street than the DR6 was. It has a lot more legs for the highway. And I came off of a WR250R, as you all know. That was my all-time favorite bike. This is definitely not that. This is heavier, a little bit more cumbersome. It's not as sharp, I guess you could say. Not as agile, can't turn into corners and stuff as quickly, and it's the same with the DR6 too. I mean, this bike isn't as agile as that bike. This bike seems to have a lot less lingering issues than the DR6 does, I guess you could say. DR6 is an awesome bike though. You can't go wrong buying any of these Japanese dual sports. I've also owned a DR650 before this too. This is much more off-road oriented. This is a little bit more cumbersome than the XR650L, which I've also ridden, but it's balanced better than the XR650L. That's probably because it's so much lower to the ground, honestly. And then another thing, I mean, you hear people talking about the Tenere 700, how the countershaft sprocket is mounted so high on the motor. Well, the countershaft sprocket is mounted very high on the motor, and it definitely gives it that dirt bike feeling, although much heavier dirt bike feeling. But I would rather be on much gnarlier, well, this is a very sandy trail. I would much rather be on this bike than a Tenere 700 or my Africa Twin, but I rode my Africa Twin out here all the time. I didn't really have an issue with it. But yeah, I don't know. It's downgrade and an upgrade. It's definitely cheaper to own, that's for sure. The Africa Twin was getting to the point of where I was starting to have some like pretty, what I would consider some pretty minor drops that were starting to, I guess you could say, break some pieces that wouldn't break on bikes like this. Well, bikes like this don't have fairings and stuff like that to break when you tip it over. So that's one thing with these I like, and I guess that kind of gets into the big ADV versus dual sport philosophy. I mean, my big issue was you're riding a big 500-pound bike off-road, and eventually it's going to bite you in the ass with its weight. And this is about 130, 140 pounds lighter than what my Africa Twin was, and you can feel it. Although I will say that Africa Twin did handle very, very, very well for its weight. But yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for my friend to bring the truck, pick me up. So I figured I'd make a quick video on it, talking about it. This is the first time that we were actually going to get her out there and test her out. So this is a pretty big bummer that this happened. So, yep. Kind of sucks, but what you gonna do? We just got these tires mounted last weekend, though. Or sorry, not last weekend. It was Thursday night. Yeah, basically last week, whatever. Doesn't matter. But yeah, it's I like it. Like how it is so far. Seems to be a pretty good machine. One thing I will say that I absolutely love about this bike is these massive freaking grab handles. These are awesome. But yeah, this should be a better bike for my use cases. I also wanted a bike that could still do longer highway jaunts because I have friends with sport bikes and stuff still too. I didn't want to sacrifice that. And then for the really, really, really gnarly single track and stuff that I like riding, I have my YZ250F that I also can ride. So this is my road and trail, and I'm no stranger to dual sports. I've ridden this bike before. I rode it off-road with totally bald tires, and I still thought it was amazing. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be a good bike for me, and I'm not going to be changing until I get a not going to be changing bikes again, at least until I get a house. So for all I know, this could be my lifelong bike. And I mean, the nice thing about it is there's nothing complicated about it. Everything on this bike I can fix myself. Whereas with the WR, you start getting into electronics that are pretty complicated. I mean, it does have a diagnostics menu you can get into, so that's a plus. But this is about as simple as they come, and I like that. I like that at the same time, but I like that, but at the same time I don't, because like I said, I'm having dreading issues with this thing, and yeah. I'm just thinking about these stock BST carburetors are just crap in my opinion. You can get them set up right, but they're really finicky compared to a pumper carb or Electron. But I have no experience with Electron, so I'm not exactly sure I want to jump into that. I've heard great things, but there's not many videos or information for them on the DR650 though. So we'll see. Time will tell. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty in my opinion though. This is, out of the 650s, I think this is the best looking bike though, for sure. Especially with those aggressive knobby tires, I think it looks great. But there are definitely things, there are definitely reasons you'd want to avoid this bike and whatnot. I definitely wouldn't be buying one of these if I rode single track and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to ride single track on it, but this bike's gonna suck at it compared to something lighter. There are so many bikes out there for so many different use cases, and I think this is pretty much like the go-to quintessential 50/50 dual sport bike. You can't really go wrong with this machine if you're looking for a true road dirt machine, because you get bikes like the WR, which they're amazing off-road, and a lot of people will disagree with me. I think they're amazing in the dirt. They're basically just a super low maintenance dirt bike that's street legal, and for that use case that bike is amazing. But there are bikes like that which are great off-road, but they don't really have the legs for highway work. They will do highway work, but that's 70-80 miles an hour is pretty tapped out for those bikes. Whereas this, like, you get up to 60 and you drop a gear, you can pretty easily get around cars compared to those other little bikes. But for a 650, this doesn't really make that much power. It's pretty detuned. But it's a motor, these motors just don't die though, so yeah, that's where I'm at with that. I was, I don't know, I didn't really tell anybody, but I was on track to buy a 2020 WR, but me and the wife talked it over, and we just decided to, no more debt. So, which is fine. Honestly, like, the thing that kind of annoyed me with the Africa Twin was the debt of it. So, the only debt I want in my future is mortgage, and that's it. And so far, it's looking like that's pretty plausible. So, that's a plus. But yeah, if you guys have any recommendations for the carb on this bike, let me know what you guys think. Thinking about maybe just going with like a TM40 or something. Just ditching this BST carburetor and being done with it. And I guess the only other issue I have is that I know the jet kit for the Pro Cycle jet kit has like pretty specific instructions on cutting open the airbox. On this, the entire top of the airbox is just cut open. Pretty dumb, but what you gonna do? It's not something I can exactly change unless I maybe JB weld a piece of plastic on top of there or something, which that's possible. I could definitely do that. But I'd like recommendations. Let me know what you guys think. Guys that have been around DR650s forever and worked with them and stuff, let me know what you think. I'm not really too keen on tearing apart the BST, but if you guys recommend it, I'll do it. Tear apart the BST and put it back together the way it's supposed to be, or jet it the way I need to have it or whatever. Do what I gotta do.